Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining. Welcome to another week of whatever this show is. I really need a name at some point. Welcome. How's everybody doing? If you have a question that you want to make sure I see during the stream, because the chat always pops off after we get going, make sure you start your question with the letter Q, and it'll put into my little questions column. We're going to just start chatting about maybe some Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, talk about what I've been up to. I can give a quick summary of how my event went last week. I was doing a 5-hour Zoom, not Zoom, webinar using the RØDECaster Video S, and it worked very well. So happy to talk about that. And of course, answer questions about whatever you have in mind. So, let's see what's going on in the chat. People asking about Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. I've definitely not been tracking these as much as past years. I feel like a lot of the deals are fake deals at this point. Like it's all just everything's on sale all the time, or it's deals on just like the old models, and the deals on the new stuff is going to happen again in a month anyway. But I did want to call out a couple of things that I found that are, I think, good deals, or you should support the folks who are doing them anyway. One is John's John Barker's Here to Record H2R Graphics. These links, by the way, are all in the video description, so you can just scroll down, or I'll put them in the chat as well. And H2R Graphics is one of the ways that you can bring graphics into your live stream. And this is, it also has the a map feature. So H2R Graphics Pro V2 license, there's a discount code, which I just dropped in the chat. And there's, so this is, if you can't tell from the tiny thumbnails, various kinds of overlays for your live streams, like lower thirds or tickers or banners, countdowns, and of course the very useful map feature, which is somewhere in the docs here. There it is, graphics map. So you can get your own little map for your intro. It doesn't work the same way as mine. It's not automatic. You do have to click the messages, but it still works well. So that is a good deal. And yeah, since people usually ask, I was glad to see John did that. He didn't have that posted last week on Sunday, which was unfortunate, but hopefully if you are paying attention now, you can pick that up. Looks like YouTube is doing the thing where it's showing me usernames instead of display names again, so that's fun. Seems to flip back and forth. Maybe they're finally settled on this. Aaron Perky's live stream. That's pretty good. I feel like that needs a cheesy animated graphic to go with it. Oh, we have a question here. SDI video out from video controller at 768 by 512. That's a bizarre resolution. What is that? Do the ATEM Constellation 2ME, do I need an estimator or something else to get a signal? I believe you do, and the reason is because if you look up the support page for the Constellation 2ME, that's not, I meant the specs page. Constellation 2ME, here it is. Tech specs, 2ME HD. In here, it'll tell you what video standards are supported. So here we go. So these are all the standards that it supports, and this is actually like this. It can actually stream in these, or like operate in these internal frame rates. But if I remember correctly, it will scale the inputs, but only among the supported video standards. It can't do arbitrary scaling. So if you have a weird resolution like that, you probably will need to use another converter to get it into a more normal resolution. If anybody has experience otherwise, please do let me know, but that is what I've found so far. Michael says, I'm about to be driving back from Eugene. I think you should stream until I get home. That's like 2 hours, right? Kathy says, what two-part? What mic are you using today, and is your room sound treated? You sound great. Thanks. So the mic I'm using is not a new one. Let me find the link to it. It is... There it is. Audio Technica AT875R, and that's in the chat. And if you... Well, that camera went off on a journey. There we go. So it is sitting up there, just above my face. So it's about like 16 inches maybe from my mouth there, and mounted on this pole overhead. And the mic is good, but also the mic placement is important. It would sound a lot worse if it were farther away from me, which has been demonstrated last week. So accidentally, when I had it pointed away, because I needed it out of the frame, because I was shooting something that you could see this part in, and now like you can tell this sounds like garbage, right? So mic placement is obviously very important as well. The room is not exactly sound treated, but there's a lot of stuff. I do have a rug down, which was one of the first things I did in here, because that made a huge difference of just reducing the bouncing from the ceiling to the floor. But then the other part of it is just that there's almost at this point no flat surfaces left on the walls. It used to be just a blank rectangle, and it was very echoey. And of course, the more things you add, the more it stops the sound from bouncing around. And yeah, it's very crowded in here now. It's I actually went to IKEA yesterday, and I got some doors for my new shelving rack. So the new shelving rack. Let's see, can I get the camera over there? I can. The new shelving rack is kind of messy right now because it doesn't have any doors, and I've just kind of haphazardly thrown things into the cabinets. But I just got a bunch of IKEA doors for those, and I'm gonna do probably later this afternoon some work on that, and it'll start looking a little bit tidier to get. Of course, ironically, the doors are taking not flat surfaces and making them back into flat surfaces, but it's fine. It's still not going to echo. Clutter, that's the excuse. Clutter as sound treatment. Yes, exactly. Nil says, I feel like it will take more than a decimator to send non-SMPTE formats over SDI, if that's possible at all. I wonder. You know, it's probably a little bit too complicated to set up right now, but I have some non-HD or non-16:9 video devices now, as I've been slowly accumulating things like these, and these are, I'm trying to think, like, how would I even get a digital signal out of those? Because the converter I have turns it into something that is already 720 by 480. Yeah, I have to think about that. Anyway, what is your device that you're using that is that resolution? Guy Cochran, hey, been a long time. Welcome to the stream. Do you think there will be a SDI version of the ATEM Mini Extreme G2? That is a very good question. Obviously, just speculation, because nobody except Blackmagic, and even sometimes I feel like they don't necessarily know their roadmap, knows what's going on. So if we look at the lineup, there is a clear gap in that there's an SDI Extreme ISO, SDI smaller ones, but the only one that launched in this new form factor is an HDMI version. Do I think there'll be an SDI version? I kind of suspect not, and here's the reason. First, if you look at the price point, the SDI Extreme ISO is 1645, right? But the ISO G2 is significantly more expensive, and it's because it does a lot more. Like, it has a lot more features, which is great. But the SDI versions have always been more expensive than the HDMI versions. And that means if they were going to go from there up more for the SDI version, that starts looking close, not exactly the same, but getting into this range of Television Studio HD8. And the HD8 ISO actually does have a lot of the features of the Mini G2, in particular the like the streaming engine built in, but also the ISO recording of the 8 inputs. So my point is, an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2 SDI, or ATEM SDI Extreme ISO G2, wow, would look very, very close to an ATEM Television Studio HD8 ISO. So would they want to cut into the market for this by making a small version of it? I don't know. It's possible, because 4700 is a lot more than, like, I don't know, maybe it would be 2500. But still, $2,500 is not anything like even the 1600 for the ATEM Extreme SDI. So I would not hold my breath, I guess. I would be surprised if they do it. We'll put it that way. Masses, I think there may be a mixed version at NAB, HDMI SDI G2. I feel like that would actually be more useful than a pure SDI version at that point. So, but yes, Blackmagic said they aren't really considering mixed inputs anymore. I hope enough of us can convince them that they are wrong. But, yeah. SDI ATEM with a built-in deck link would be nice. It's true, yeah, and that's the thing that's missing from the television studio models is the built-in deck link. So, IT Never Gets Old says there's a huge price gap between the ATEM Pro ISO to the Extreme G2. Now that the ISO version 1 is gone. That is a good point, because now it goes from 875 to twice that. Oops, sorry. It goes from 545 to 2195, which is a big gap. I don't know what they would do in that middle tier. Interesting. The RØDECaster video can't overlay more than one asset at a time. This is a feature that Rode needs to consider. Oh yeah, that is a good point. If you go into the overlays menu, I don't actually think I have more than one overlay set up right now, but yeah, let me set up another one, because yeah, you'll see that it will essentially it will change. It'll just like toggle which overlay is on. Too many RØDECasters. RØDECaster Video S Scene Builder. This was my setup for the event yesterday. Let's go into here. So what do I have over here? I have camera 3 as an overlay. Oh yeah, because that was the countdown timer I was doing through an iPad overlay. But let's change that to let's get rid of that. Let's just make it a logo. But make it small. And then you'll see what I mean. So if I do that one there, and then I put that one there, and adjust the position over there, then if I have this on and I try to bring the second one on, it will just replace it. So they can only do one overlay at a time. I assume they're doing it that way for performance reasons, although I agree it's very common to want to do more than one overlay, especially if you're doing things like... so what I was doing was like a countdown timer, but then, I might also want a logo in the corner on top of everything. So I agree, it's a pretty common thing. So feels like something they could change in firmware, but who knows? I don't know what the processing power is available is like. I watch your videos about the OBSBot tail cams. I'm thinking about getting the tail air. Did you keep using them after your videos? Anything you notice would mention recommendations. So the original tail airs have digital zoom only, but the new ones, the tail 2, have optical zoom. It's not a ton of optical zoom, but it is definitely enough to do stuff with. I have not actually played with the tail 2 myself. I still haven't actually got one in. But everyone who I've heard from has had a really good experience with it. Let me grab a link to that, because they also do a pretty good affiliate program. And I would appreciate the affiliate links. Do I have... I might need to go actually get their link for it. Oh, the OBSBot Meet is $100. I don't know if it's a real deal right now. Where is my login for it? There it is. I get emails whenever people follow my OBSBot affiliate links, and they pay out pretty well, actually. Oh, I haven't logged in so long. They're emailing me a challenge code. That's annoying. Oh, my coupon code is just AaronPK. Great. Okay. Here is the OBSBot affiliate store link. And from there, you should be able to find the oh, that should be the Taylor. That link goes to Tail Air. Where's the Tail Air 2? Well, if you click it and then click around, you'll get there. Tail 2. There we go. OBSBot. Oh, we've got some gift memberships coming in from In Plain Sight. Thank you for that. Look at that. We have 20 new channel members from In Plain Sight. Wow, thanks. If you've been chatting in here, you may have just got a new channel membership gifted to you. Thanks In Plain Sight for that. So if you are a new channel member, make sure that you click into the member section below and find the link to the members Discord, and then connect your YouTube account, and then we can keep in touch throughout the week. That's where all the channel members hang out throughout the week. Wow. Yes, that's a lot of new channel members. Catch up for last week. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I did notice that you were missing last week. Gwen says, speaking of affiliate links, I signed up with Pilot Institute via your affiliate link, so you should have hopefully get a little something from that. I did. I saw that. Thanks. It doesn't tell me who it is, obviously, but I did see that somebody signed up, and thanks. I appreciate it. So there's no super source on the RØDECaster. Well, they don't call it super source, but there absolutely is super source. So the overlay feature is the one that's limited to one thing at a time. But if you just go into this top row of buttons and the top physical row of buttons, by default, if these things are not selected, are scenes. And that's where you can do things like, let's see. I don't have my, I had my computer plugged into input 2 before. Let's swap that back. I had my actual like small laptop on the desk here that I was running the screen share from. And then I had my main computer that I'm using right now just as the like in the video call, but I wasn't using it to screen share. Well, that's not helpful. Now I have two of me. I need to change what is going out of that to be, let's make it the overhead camera. Great. So input 1 is, I should get rid of the green screen because I had it chroma keying before, but I'm not anymore. So that's input 1. Input 2 is the overhead camera. And then up here, you can make scenes. So here is a background image. You can change the image to whatever's in your media pool. I have a camera 1 over here, which is cropped and scaled. And then camera 2 is full screen of, it could be my computer screen or overhead camera or whatever. So they don't call it super source. This is just called scenes. But you can make, on the RØDECaster Video S, you can make 5 of them. And on the RØDECaster Video, it's 7. Yeah, 7. And they can have a bunch of different layers in them. So I don't actually know what the limit is of number of layers. I've never run into it. So when would you use an overlay versus a scene? Yeah, good question. So the overlays are going to be persistent across all your scenes. So think like chat overlays, or if you need a logo in the corner, or if you want a ticker on the bottom. And then, so here I have, this is not a good overlay, but here I have my little logo, right? And then as I switch between scenes, it's going to stay there. So it stays no matter what scene I'm on, right? And that's actually really powerful because it means that you can just have your chat coming in over the top of everything always, and then you can swap out what video source and not have to worry about like also changing the overlay. So it's essentially the same as what I do for this show with the ATEM of I have a downstream key showing the chat all the time. Yeah, nils. Think upstream key versus downstream key, except people only think that if they actually know what those terms mean, which are video broadcast terms, which nobody knows. So if you are familiar with that, then yes, think upstream key versus downstream key. Otherwise, don't worry about it. But I'm using a downstream key for the chat because it's called downstream because everything happens, in the switcher, and then downstream of all of that stuff that's happening, you can slap stuff on top. So that is, that's the overlay feature, and overlay is probably a nicer thing to call it, frankly. In Plain Sight says, our streams are a perfect example. We have 3 or 4 overlays running, but 4 to 5 different scenes that we switch from. 3 or 4 overlays all at the same time, because that is unfortunately not possible on the RØDECaster right now. What do you do? And says, did you have that webinar you made the background for? If so, did you find any quirks you'll need to iron out for the next one? I did. So on Monday, I spent 5 hours talking with people on the internet, and the setup was basically this RØDECaster Video S was plugged in over USB to my streaming computer, which is the one that I use for this show. And that was where I was logged into the webinar software. On24 was the platform. It just showed up as a webcam to that platform. And then for the actual slide deck that I was sharing, I had a separate computer in front of me on the table here. And that computer was, I was switching between slides from that computer and then screen, just like coding or, web pages and stuff. And that was plugged into the second input on the RØDECaster Video. So I could switch between my camera, the computer screen, or a scene that was picture-in-picture of, I think I still have that one created. So like this, where I have my little picture down in the corner, except I had my green screen up and it was chroma keyed. So if I pull this back up and then go back into this camera and do the chroma key, now all of a sudden I have a transparent background. It's not, I'm missing a light somewhere. It's a little bit messy there, but you get the idea. And then, so if I chroma key oh, it's weird having my thumb so big next to my head. So obviously if I chroma key my, here now you can see the RØDECaster video output. If I chroma key my main camera, I can't really switch to it anymore because it's just a black background. And something moved because I also have that little slice. Anyway, not important for the demo purposes. So this camera isn't really useful anymore because I'm just in a black void. So instead I made a scene with two layers. One is the video, the virtual background, the graphic, and then my main camera is on top of it. So if you look at what that looks like, I've got the video background or the image here, and then my camera on top. And that so basically means that my useful camera angles are A, which is this scene, C, which is a side-by-side, or B, which is when I'm down in the corner. And it works pretty well. So this is what people are seeing, right? And that way they see either this, or this. And just imagine this was my computer screen instead of the top-down camera, you know, with a slide deck or whatever. And I also made a scene over here, E, which is just a back soon logo. And the reason for this is because I can actually then, even though this is just a single graphic, I can make scene audio, which turns off all the audio. So you can, in a scene, you can assign which audio channels you want to be audible when that scene is selected. So here I turned off my microphone, right? So that I can put up a break screen of just like, hey, we're coming back later, and then my microphone's off. So it worked really well. What did I miss that I needed to fix? There was one thing that I felt like was awkward, and I've forgotten now. I've completely forgotten what it was. Maybe it was that I needed the countdown timer, and I did that on the fly because I plugged in my iPad over here to the other input, and is that this one? Yeah. So input 3 was my iPad plugged in, and that just runs like the full screen countdown timer. And then I was able to Luma key it because it has a black background, and then use that as an overlay on top of whatever I was doing. And I kind of did that on the fly while I was going. Like I used one of the short breaks to set that up. And that worked really well. So, yeah, it worked great. I don't know. I don't think there was anything really that I needed to tweak for next time. And this is the RØDECaster Video S, not even the big one, which is great because I wanted to put this to the test of like, is this enough, the small one, to do this kind of like real world webinar? And yeah. Cool. Okay, let me take a look at the chat now that there is more stuff coming in. How do you get the Apple Classic behind you to show your video? It was when I got it, it was only a shell. There was nothing inside of it. So somebody already taken the monitor and the guts out. So I searched for a very long time to find a HDMI screen that was the exact width of the Mac window. The height is not exactly the same because the aspect ratio is wrong. That's why there's a black gap on the bottom and top. That's just like a piece of paper covering it. And then inside the Mac, I put in a Blackmagic converter, one of the little gray boxes that you can load a LUT into. So that is SDI in, it runs a LUT, and then it's HDMI out to that HDMI monitor. So that's just routed from the switcher that I have here. So anything that's in my switcher, I can put on that screen, including my computer screen, or I could put in the RØDECaster video output showing the screen of the RØDECaster video up on the Mac back there. Or if I wanted to show my overhead camera over there, I can do that as well. And now you can see my hands. But it's fun. And so the LUT, I did the LUT in there because that makes it, it like reduces all the saturation and tints it slightly blue. So that it kind of looks like the old Mac screen. But I think it's cute. I wonder what a newscast producer from the 90s would think of what Aaron just demoed. Just threw my iPad in there because I needed a timer. It's true. Did I use my Stream Deck with the RØDECaster S? Also, does the Stream Deck XL have more than input? Should I get the Stream Deck? My show will eventually be live. I actually did not use the Stream Deck with the RØDECaster, and I was surprised that I didn't really need it. The reason is because once you have the scene audio, with the scene audio feature, being able to assign for any of these scenes what audio channels are enabled for the scene. Oh, I just remembered the one glitch I had, and it was related to scene audio. So when you have the scene audio feature, it actually reduces, it means you're doing a lot of things at the same time with using the physical buttons on the RØDECaster, because these A, B, C, and E buttons correspond to, these physical buttons. So if I press that, you can see now the audio is gone because there are no audio sources available in that scene. And that means that what would have taken me a Stream Deck to do of, change to, so on an ATEM, like I would have to make a Stream Deck button that does switch to this camera and adjust these audio sources, right? But with the RØDECaster, I can do it all in scene audio so that anytime that I press this button or select this scene, the audio switches automatically. But that was the glitch, is that apparently in one of my scenes, like this one, I think, I had forgotten to double check it, and my microphone was off in the scene. So the first time I used that scene and switched to it, my microphone cut out, and I was talking, and thankfully it was only like 5 seconds. And I switched back to my main camera, and then all the chat was like, no audio, no audio. And I did not explain what went wrong. I just said, oops, I fixed it. So you get the behind the scenes in this show, but they do not. So I just had to, it took me, I figured it out pretty quick because I realized that the no audio happened, like people started saying that when I had cut to the camera, and I hadn't cut to that angle yet. So I was like, oh, it must be the scene audio. And sure enough, that was unchecked over there. So quick fix. I was able to do it live. But yeah, that was the mistake. I'm starting to view the RØDECaster video as a hardware OBS. I feel like there's a reasonable way to think of it. It's definitely like a hybrid software hardware situation going on with, it's not FPGA based like the ATEM, where, it's really locked into doing one thing. But it is not as flexible as a pure software like OBS. Yeah, OBS is way more flexible. But it is significantly more flexible than like the ATEM, right? Because you've got all that, the scene engine in there, really. But you could kind of think of it as a hardware OBS with built-in capture cards. Which would you use for a lightweight travel live stream? The YoloBox Ultra versus Switcher Studio on an iPad. It's been a while since I played with Switcher Studio. I've really only done a couple of tests with it. I don't love that it's a monthly subscription. So that has been part of the reason I haven't played with it too much. But I guess the iPad advantage is that there's no extra gear to bring, because I'm going to bring my iPad no matter what, right, on a trip. The video inputs will be the main limitation in Switcher Studio, because there's no, well, at most one capture card with an iPad. Whereas with the YoloBox or a Magewell Director Mini, you have multiple HDMI inputs and a webcam input. So with Switcher Studio, it's going to be network inputs. I'm pretty sure they have a phone app that you can connect. I don't remember the NDI situation or SRT situation on there. But you'd be using those kinds of things to get your multiple angles in rather than hardware, which is good for portability. So, but yeah, I haven't used it enough to be comfortable with it anyway myself, which maybe I should fix. Grish says, honestly, for stability, FPGAs is the way to go, but I love OBS. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about the ATEM being FPGA based is that if it does crash, which has absolutely happened, it's usually the control circuitry that crashes, but not the video processing. So at worst, your video is still going to be going through, but you can't change it. But at least it's like a little bit better than your entire stream going down if the computer crashes. Okay, let me scroll back here a bit. Mark asks, can you use the RØDECaster video as to bring in a remote guest into a hybrid meeting without them hearing themselves? So Yeah, the feature that it's almost like too easy in the RØDECaster. The reason I say that, let me show you in the web interface here, or not web interface, the app interface. If you go to the audio mixer, the way it'll work is you plug in your RØDECaster over USB, and then into your computer, and then you set your meeting software to use the RØDECaster as the audio interface, right? Then, if you have if you're streaming, if we're gonna ignore the how do you get the guest's video back into the RØDECaster for a minute, but imagine that they were coming in through HDMI, and let's add the second HDMI. So let's say my audio is coming in through this camera, HDMI 1, and the guest audio is coming in through HDMI 2, right? So for the live mix, I'm going to have both because I want to hear both me and the guest, obviously. But by default, what the RØDECaster does is if you go to, actually, no, you need to, I'm going to give you the slightly less simple example. Let's say I'm using the USB audio interface from the RØDECaster to, for the Zoom meeting. You can actually go into here and choose what audio do you want to be sent out over USB. And by default, it's live mix or mix minus, which would be everything except the USB audio. But you can also go into custom, and then you can just like turn off the HDMI 2 going out the USB interface. So if you have your guest's audio coming in over HDMI, you can not send that audio back over USB to them in the Zoom meeting. If you are doing it in a way where they're coming in from your computer because you've plugged in your computer audio, then Mix Minus will do that for you. It's basically the same. It's like doing the custom mix, but it's automatic. So I don't actually have a USB audio. I don't actually have a USB audio configured. Let's fix that. So let's take USB 1. And if I go to USB 1 here and go to Mix Minus, well, I don't have any audio coming in there to begin with, but basically it's all the audio sources minus USB 1, versus live mix is going to be whatever set your main mix is set to. So it's effectively automatic if you're doing everything over USB, but you can even go into custom and say you don't want to send the sound effects to your guests or the background music, because that's also a thing that like, maybe you don't want the video conferencing your remote guests to hear the background music because the video conferencing software messes up the audio. Then you can just not send that back to them. So it's very powerful. It is, I don't know of any other switcher that has this kind of level of, normally this is done in a dedicated audio mixer, but they kind of just put an audio mixer into the RØDECaster video. And that's on the Video S and RØDECaster video. Grish says, my 2ME crashed and it's true. It just froze and couldn't switch. Video switching kept going. Yep. It's kind of weird when that happens. It's happened to me a couple times. David says, your live stream setups are incredibly efficient. What's the single big piece of gear that gave you the biggest improvement? Thanks. Before I answer, are you talking about the streams that I'm doing like this, where it's, me showing gear and showing how stuff works? Or are you talking about like my portable streams? Because those are two very, very different things. And, oh yeah, what are you doing? So I want to guess before he answers. SDI Matrix or X32? I think for this kind of thing, when I'm sitting in here showing gear on the table and demoing that and being able to do this kind of thing, it was the SDI Matrix back when I was using the ATEM Mini Extreme, or two ATEM Mini Extremes for the show. Once I upgraded to the Constellation 4ME with the 40 inputs, 20 outputs, that has actually made the biggest difference. And I actually don't have the video SDI Matrix turned on right now because the fans are busted and they just make this horrible rattling sounds. I have to fix that again. So when I did this setup for the studio, I made a point of routing my most commonly used things into the ATEM directly and leaving sort of accessory gear that is not as critical to the SDI matrix. So most everything right now you're seeing is going through the ATEM constellation. And the reason I say it's been the most impactful is because that is what lets me do things like put whatever I want on that screen. Okay, that's cosmetic, but what about actual functionality? Take a look at the RØDECaster video. What's in my RØDECaster video right now? It is, and my ATEM just crashed. My ATEM software control just crashed. Speaking of crashes, you're seeing my camera, you're seeing my overhead camera, and let me grab something into input 3. Let's say it's my computer screen. There's my computer screen in camera 3. And so I can show you my camera, I can show you my overhead, I can show you my computer screen, but I can also show you the output of the RØDECaster video. And the RØDECaster video has a copy of my camera, my overhead camera, and my computer screen. And that's because once my camera is routed into the ATEM, I can send a copy of it out to a bunch of stuff. And for testing switchers like this, it's super, super convenient because it means that when I'm recording a video, I don't have to do anything in post because I can just be recording this angle. And then I want to show you, oh, let's go actually do a demo on the RØDECaster video. And I can pop over here and I can actually record everything that's in, on the screen here without rewiring my cameras, without unplugging HDMI cables. So that's really what, it's like the only reason that, that I've had the ability to make any videos beyond live streams this year. So the fact that I can plug stuff in, get copies of all my cameras, and then switch between that output, the cameras, the output of the device, it's perfect for this. Obviously, not everybody is making videos about live streaming switchers, so you may not need that level of routing. But other things that you can do with it are things like, change what's on screens around the room, whether that's your monitoring, your confidence monitor, or like the TV. So like I can, change what's on the TV. Right now it's the Fire TV, but I could also say I actually want it to be the RØDECaster video. And that's actually really convenient for if I'm trying to demo something and making a video about the RØDECaster video. I'll put a copy of the screen back there, right? Or I could say, I just want it to be a giant copy of my main camera, or I need my computer screen back there, or whatever it is. So that's all routed through the ATEM, and it's very convenient. This is also another really good, good call out companion in Stream Deck. I would say the reason I think the reason I didn't say this at first is because I've had a Stream Deck and companion set up for a very long time, and it's like not negotiable for me, right? Except for apparently with RØDECaster video, which almost means I don't need it. But the companion is able to control all this stuff with just the single control surface, which is super convenient. And especially for a one-person show, there would be no way to do it otherwise. So, but I've had it for longer than I've had the Constellation for, which is also coming up on a long time now, which is a little scary. Bowls Promo says, I bring Switcher Studio into the Director Mini. Works well and I get instant replay. Oh, that's a cool idea. Okay. Matt says, what I want is a YoloBox Pro with an updated processor as my travel rig. The YoloBox Pro is honestly a really good size. I think that was probably my favorite size of YoloBox. Circuit Baker asks, would you be able to demo getting an NDI output from OBS to the RØDECaster video? Doesn't the OBS output format not work with RØDECaster video. I think it requires running through a converter, which I think is only on Windows. So the problem is that the RØDECaster video only supports NDI-HX, but the NDI-HX is not available on Macs for open source projects. So you can't get OBS or other things like that to output in NDI-HX. And yeah, NDI Bridge is the answer, but it's Windows only. Thanks. Koala says, when connecting the ATEM Mini Pro to a HyperDeck shuttle, you lose one of the HDMI inputs to the shuttle's HDMI output. Would network IP setup remove that connection? HyperDeck shuttle. So if you are playing back video from the HyperDeck, I don't think that that's not going to help, because the shuttle doesn't do streaming output. So some of the new, like the new ATEM Extreme G2 and the TV Studio HD support RTMP or SRT inputs from other Blackmagic devices, like a streaming encoder or another ATEM or cameras. But the shuttle HyperDeck doesn't do that. So it would need to output a network video stream like SRT or RTMP to free that up. So it doesn't really help you there. I missed this one earlier. Is there a way to do a stinger on the YoloBox Ultra Extreme? I don't think so. I think I've looked at that before and I never found an option for that. Good question. However, is the HyperDeck doing playback or recording in your case? I was assuming playback, because otherwise you don't need it plugged in to HDMI at all. Bowlesworm says, I mentioned earlier about H2R graphics. Not sure you saw it. Do you use it? It is discounted this weekend. I left the discount code in the description below, and it should be it was in the chat earlier. Let's talk about some of the other discounts that I found. I don't use it because I have my own way to do chats, and I don't really do graphics like lower thirds or anything. But it also has the map feature that people always ask me for, so it's definitely good software. But yeah, I left the link in the description. A couple other things I wanted to call out. My own Black Friday sale, I should plug that some more. The stress test video clips. If you're not familiar with those, I just dropped that in the chat. These are downloadable files that you can download at a bunch of different resolutions and frame rates. And it looks like this. This is a very blurry, scaled down animated GIF version of it. But it's basically got these little test patterns of various kinds. And I use it to run through video encoders when I want to see what kind of compression they're doing, or are they able to handle the frame rate at 100% of the frames. So you can see there's this little frame counter, and if you play this back and then record on your switcher and then play back the recording frame by frame, you'll see, is it doubling up frames or skipping frames? And it makes it very obvious, because you've got a little number there. This page, which I guess I didn't put that link in the chat. This page goes through and talks about all the different things. So if you're curious what they all do, you can read them here. Anyway, this is, I made this a couple of years ago now, but it still is really useful. And you can grab the clips. They're all ProRes format, so you can, I did make them to play back on HyperDecks, so they should all work on a HyperDeck player. And really useful for just like seeing how your devices handle stuff. The either switchers or encoders. So that is on, I discounted that for this week only, 25% off. The link that I put in the chat should take you to the discount code already, but the code is BF25. Also, my own Black Friday sale is my used gear. So I've got a bunch of used, well, not a bunch. I've got some used gear left in my shop. This is stuff that at some point I've bought before and I have not used it in a while. So it's time to let it move on and have another life. So a lot of the stuff is pretty significantly discounted already. And then there's another coupon for, what did I do on that one? For another 15% off with the code BF25. And that is for any of this stuff in the used gear category. So click through and you can see the stuff. I've got it all in this little box. I decided it's time to sell some of my little Sony cameras. These things are fun. I'm keeping one. I don't need three. And I got a couple microphones. Still got a 2-bay NAS if you need just some extra storage drives. This is part of my clean up the studio project, and I'm gonna hopefully finish this by the end of the year and get the new cabinets all where'd you go? There you are. Get doors on those cabinets and get that cleaned up. Matt says I use Aaron's stress test when I go to shows like NAB. Oh, cool. How do you use it at NAB? Do you like plug stuff in? That's cool. David says it'd be great if the YoloBox HDMI inputs could negotiate clean HDMI with any encoded input. For example, DJI Mimo Fly apps currently only the RC Pros can do so. I would agree that would be cool. It's more of a question about whether the device even supports clean HDMI out at all. A lot of these things don't. So the DJI RC Pro has an HDMI port that is can be set to clean HDMI out, but if the device doesn't support clean HDMI out, there's nothing any other device can do about it, really. Matt said, I saw a doc of the F1 movie and they used the DJI Action 2 for the movie in very tight places. Oh yeah, that is the Action 2, not the best in low light, but pretty good in daylight, and it's so tiny. It even gets smaller. It's just this. And it's got like the little clip-on thing for clip-on mounts. It's very cool. And this bottom thing lets you plug in an SD card and gives it an extra battery and a screen. So like front-facing screen. It's a very cute little camera. Matt says, how hard is it to switch between a YoloBox and RØDECaster video? Ask, I'm about to start traveling more, and the video says real audio, so I'd not need to take my mix pre for audio. That is a good point. How hard would it be to switch? Let me think. I'm trying to think, like, what would be the biggest roadblock to kind of understanding the model of RØDECaster video. The things that you're going to lose are going to be the built-in graphics generators. So you'll need to have a workflow set up if you use things like the text overlays or the tickers and stuff. You'll need a new workflow for that. And if they're very dynamic, and that'll either take some more gear or just be more of a process. Or if you just really have a couple of things, like you figure it out once you do it. The remote guest stuff, there's nothing that's going to help you other than the audio processing. So that's going to be another thing to get your head around of, like, how do you do remote guests? The scene building, the scene building is definitely different. I don't feel like it's that hard to figure out. Like, it's pretty intuitive on the RØDECaster. Maybe it's not. But like when you go into a scene here, rather than No, it is kind of similar, actually. It is kind of similar. You know, you can change what order these are in. You can change... oh, I have my chroma key on there still. How this app works is definitely different from the YoloBox built-in like touchscreen. I feel like you'll get the hang of it pretty quick. I have a video you can watch, like my intro that explains everything. But I feel like the workflow stuff of the features that you would be losing from the YoloBox are going to be a little harder to deal with. Davis says, the only way I came up with a clean HDMI for the YoloBox is to connect either your smartphone with HDMI out of the stream as input for mobile, and for stationary, connect PC Mac through HDMI. No audio sync. I'm confused about what you're talking about here now. Actually, sorry, I got lost. If only you ship to Australia. Sadly, that is just not really practical. Razor Baby said, hey, Aaron, wife said you're both an excellent and a bad influence by way of knowledge sharing. Make me a better producer, but making me buy way more equipment. Have you thought of starting a rent to own? Oh, I don't want to go anywhere near that business. No, thanks. Thanks though. That's hilarious. Just to be clear, I don't think everyone needs to buy everything. Hopefully, my videos and streams give you an idea of what would make sense for you to buy, so you don't have to buy everything. Speaking of buying things, you know, I just bought yesterday. Went to a rummage sale, and I was not expecting to find anything, but it was fun to just browse around. It was a huge warehouse that was just full of a lot of random stuff, but there was one table that had a couple of electronics, and I couldn't help myself. They also didn't have prices listed, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on what these prices were. This thing, I had not heard of this brand before, but I have had a mini tape deck in the past, and I just thought this one was so nice looking. It's metal case. It has like a nice physical switch. Makes a nice squeaking sound. It's got the very satisfying eject button. And I was like, this is just too cute. This is clearly where your finger goes. It's worn it down. The batteries in it were obviously dead, but it's just AA's. So that's a nice thing about old electronics, is that you can just replace the batteries like that. So I saw that and I was like, that's cool. So I put that in my cart. And then I was ironically looking for this online the night before. The first Palm Pilot that I bought was the M105, and they had one there. I was looking on eBay for these, and they're like, you can get them between $15 and $25 or so, which is not bad. But then I found this on the table, and I was like, no freaking way. It has AAA batteries, so they were also obviously dead. So I couldn't test it there. But I brought it home, replaced the batteries. It did not turn on. So yeah, what are your guesses for this haul? Both of these things, because I brought these to the front. I was like, I want these two things, and they didn't have price tags on them. So he just made up a price when I walked out. Replaceable batteries, what a concept! I know, right? It's really a problem. Like, more things need to have replaceable batteries, and I get that AA batteries are not going to give you the power that you need for modern things like a YoloBox or whatever, but frankly, we need to fix that problem. So I swapped out the batteries. It didn't turn on, and then I was like, okay, well, this stuff is not nearly as complicated as new electronics, so I bet I can fix it. And sure enough, opened up the back, got into the battery compartment, and you know the other problem with AA batteries is that they leak eventually, and I cleaned it up so you can't really see it much, but you might be able to see a little bit of green left. That's like the battery acid that leaked out of the old batteries, and it had like dripped down into this back case pops off, and this metal tab just like makes contact with the circuit board, and that had completely corroded over. So I just got out, like I started scraping it a bit, sanded it down a little bit, got the soldering iron and dropped a little bit of solder to make more of a contact pad on it. And then now it turns on. Imagine that. Fixing old electronics. Okay, we've got some guesses here. 35 to 45, 40, 35 to 40 for the tape thing, 40 for the pilot, 7 for the recorder. Wow, all over the place. $5 each. Bowles promo is closest. It was $5 for both of them. He was just like, oh, I don't even know. How about $5 for both? And I was like, deal, sold. And now you have to go through the little setup because I replaced the batteries. You have to calibrate the screen every time, apparently. And there. And there. Oh, and the date. I like how it defaults to the year 2000, and it makes me feel very old. Oh, wow, that time is almost right. It makes me feel very old that I have to page through 25 pages to get to the year 2025. How is it 2025 already? November 30th. Look at that calendar interface, though. It's actually quite efficient, having the year up there, and then you choose the month, and then you choose the date. Great just for props. I agree. And there we go. Next. Done. Now you're on the home screen and you're like, what can this thing do? Turns out not much by default. And then I realized that it did not come with the cable that plugs into the bottom to sync it with a computer. So I bought that on eBay last night. Then I can install apps. And, well, they didn't call them apps back then. But yeah, who remembers graffiti? I got really good at this. So you have to make different strokes. It wasn't just like arbitrary handwriting. It was like specific gestures to make the letters. I got really good at it though. And like, they did a really good job though, because it's like mostly intuitive. There's only a couple of weird ones, like the F. It's like a backwards 7. So there's only a couple you have to kind of remember, like what are the, oops, I got that one wrong. Couple you have to remember what are the unique shapes. And it's cool. Now connect it to your gear and screen share it. That would be fun. No account creation, no cloud. Yeah, that's another like significant difference. It just turns on and now you can just use it. You can just like start adding people to your address book. No accounts. Seeing that UI makes me think that smartphones were not such a huge step forward. This is my other gripe about smartphones, is that like, look, sure, the screen's nicer and color and bigger, but you know what's missing from this? Actual buttons. There's like one over here, there's 2 over here, and there's a little switch. But these buttons are great. Buttons are really useful. You can page up and down, you can open, you know, the to-do list, you can assign them to different apps. And this was even a small number of buttons for this kind of device back in the day, because some have actual keyboards still. I don't know. I think that modern electronics should go take some inspiration from these older things. Actually, the RØDECaster video does a good job of this too. There's actually like, wow, talk about a difference in time scales. This does a good job of mixing physical buttons and non-physical buttons. So more things should do that. American dates are so backwards. That is very, very true. It makes no sense. It's kind of the worst of all date formats. You're sounding like a grumpy old man like me. I am a grumpy old man. The Palm Pilot was so fast and responsive. Agreed. Get one of the Donner podcast cards that comes with XLR microphones. I paid $50 for my unit and it's been awesome with the amount of options it offers, especially for a live stream. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look into that. Yes, we need more function buttons. Yes. Perfect tape deck for your love of tiny things. I agree. The next thing I want to track down is my second Palm Pilot, which was, I don't know where these went, because like I usually don't get rid of electronics, and I have a whole like box with all of my old cell phones in them. Maybe it was because this was before that. That must be what it is. At some point I started keeping electronics. But my next Palm Pilot was the Palm Tungsten T2. Which was, where's a good picture of it? Very similar buttons, except they made the bottom part slide out to reveal the like touchscreen part, or like the stylus part. It was color. It had Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Not that you could do anything with Wi-Fi back then, but it had it. There was barely any Wi-Fi out at the time. But that was my second one. I think I had an external keyboard for this, actually. Anyway, I need to track one of those down, and then maybe find a keyboard for it too, because that was pretty cool. I don't know where it went. It seems like there's a sweet spot of like when are electronics just old versus when are they like nostalgic? And definitely trying to ride that line very carefully of not just hoarding every single thing I've bought ever. But 20 years seems to be the time when it goes into nostalgia. So I am going to hold on to one ATEM Mini, original ATEM Mini, for that long. I will do that, because I feel like I will regret not having an ATEM Mini in what's 20 years from when I got it, 2039. So we still have a ways to go, but hold me to that. 2039, I will still have an ATEM Mini, and it'll probably look like this does now in 2039. You have to be older than 55 to be a grumpy old man. No, I think you can be a grumpy old man at heart and younger. Aaron is going into the fashionably retro tech trend. I mean, kind of. He says, sitting in front of a rack of old gear. Yeah, my old iPod is over there also. And the Wii controller that I just accidentally held onto for a long time, that's coming up on 20 years also. Gosh. Are you on the pre-order list for the new Commodore 64? I honestly can't tell if this is a joke or not. But I can't tell. Okay, back to business. Pulse promo. Director Mini outputs to 2 streams, or has that changed or changing? Thought I saw a comment somewhere. I have not heard of anything changing about it. As far as I know, it still only supports 2 encoders. Not sure if it's a hardware or software limitation, but I have not heard of anything. Wait, it's not a joke? Watch the launch video. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll have to go look that up. I will say, I'm not old enough to have used a Commodore 64 when it was out. So it's definitely full like retro for me, not nostalgic. And I have less interest in that part of it. I have more interest in like the nostalgia side of it for me, of like stuff I used to use. So for me, that is like that Mac and the tiny version of it. Oh, it's on my other desk. Somebody made a tiny version of it, which is what is the what's it called? The it actually boots. It's actually functional. I need to find the link. Anyway, it's like I think it's based on a Raspberry Pi Zero or something. But it all fits inside of it. I have to go grab it. Hang on. It's too important. This. It's such a good little size, but there's a full computer in there and micro SD card slot. They also sent this adapter with it, which is USB-C to plug into the Mac, gives you a USB-C for power, and then you can plug in a keyboard here. So I should be able to actually power this up. I like how I said back to business, and then I immediately went back to old electronics. I need to actually get a keyboard plugged in, but look at that. It literally boots into the Mac OS. I need to get a bigger zoom lens. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I have to go get a keyboard for this and then install some stuff. Crazy. Some of us grumpy old men used computers before the Commodore 64. Yeah. That's crazy though. What is it called? Good question. What is it called? It's called oh man. There it is. Found it. Pico Mac. Wonder if they have a Black Friday sale going on. They also have it, like a lot of it's open source. So here we go. I just dropped the link in the chat. Pico Mac. Scale replica has basic USB keyboard and mouse support. Order parts. Oh yeah, and their website is also Mac themed. It's hilarious. Oh, this is like actual Mac parts. No, there it is. There's the case. Self-assembly kit. Main board, but you can also buy it pre-built if you want. The website is hilarious. Okay, well there you go. There's the link. No affiliate link, sadly. Oh, an actual question. Which RØDECaster video do you prefer, the video or video S? I'm about to get one. I don't know which one to go to. So I do recommend watching my latest video about the RØDECaster video S, which talks about the differences. The short version is they have the same features, same functionality. The difference is the number of inputs. So add up the number of things you want to connect to it. Physically, like cameras over HDMI or a second computer over HDMI or whatever it is, webcams, USB, et cetera, and see how close you're getting to the limit. The difference is the number of HDMI inputs and USB inputs, but feature-wise, like ISO recording and making scenes and audio processing is all the same. So it's really just about the number of inputs. I would say if you are finding that you are already either close or at the limit of the video S, you might want to just save yourself the trouble and get the bigger one. But there's a lot of stuff you can do with the RØDECaster video S with the fewer number of inputs. You're gonna be just like, it'll be just fine. So, really, it's a matter of how many things you want to connect to it. But do take a look at the video I just posted earlier this month. I'll drop the link in the chat again. Okay, back to old computers. Gwen says, my first computer my family bought was Apple IIc. David says, I went to Apple Store in '84. It was called Data Place, and I wanted the Apple IIe, but left with the Apple IIc because of the portability of connecting it to any television. Oh, yeah. Doesn't it have fewer outputs too? Yes, it does. It has one less HDMI output too. But yeah, it's basically just it's the inputs and outputs that are different, but the rest of it is the same. Wow, a lot of people in the chat are definitely a lot older than me. Or those are the only ones talking. You can definitely tell somebody's age based on what computers they used as a kid. I think my parents still have the first computer that I used, but I don't think it is functional anymore. I may have taken it apart a long time ago, which I kind of regret now. But it was they actually won it from like a radio call-in contest. It was it Logitech? There was something else about it. It was You just figured out we're old. YouTube tells me how old you are, actually. Let's see what YouTube thinks. Audience. So if I go to there's a way to filter based on live streams. Yeah, so age. If I look at the videos, the video audience is 35 to 44 primarily. Live stream skews older. Very interesting. 45 to 54. Why in the world would that be? That is very interesting. And then shorts, I guess not surprisingly, the only people who watch my YouTube shorts are between 25 and 34, which means very few of the live stream audience have seen my YouTube shorts. That's really hilarious. Matt just bought my DJI Action 2. Oh, great. Thanks. I will drop it in the mail tomorrow. Keith dropped in to say hi. We'll check out today's stream later. Well, thanks. Shorts make sense with the demographic. Yeah, I think that has more to do with the shorts demographic than my channel's demographic. I think I still remember how to get into AT&T bulletin boards. I never was like on the proper bulletin boards, but I did use dial-up internet to get into the library's catalog and checkout system. And I used to dial into the library on the computer, browse the catalog, reserve books, check out books, and then go pick them up. And I was, that was mostly what I was reading was programming books. No surprise, I guess. And basically, taught myself programming from library books. And the people at the library got to know me as the kid who walked in and checked out every computer book. So just saw your first short yesterday. That's so funny. Older people have more time. Gwen says I'm in the 45 to 54 age range, closer to the higher end. Us older folks watching live, like, we use 300 baud modems. Yeah, I think my first modem was 9600. That may have been the first one that like I bought, though. I think my parents may have had an older one. 1200 actually, now that you mention it, I think might be the first time I actually used a modem. Anyway, am I going to do a review of the ATEM Mini Extreme G2? I'm not going to buy one myself. At this point, now that they're shipping, I probably should try to ask Blackmagic to let me borrow one for a couple weeks. I've been so busy. Haven't really had any bandwidth to even think about this. But maybe over the winter break, I will try to do that. So I should probably get in touch with them now that it's end of November. Crazy. How is November already over? It's the last day today, and that means tomorrow is the beginning of December. Where'd you grow up? I grew up in Portland. Well, Southwest Portland. Oh, thanks, Keith, for the super chat. Don't forget to check out the house files and hit the like buttons. Yes. Speaking of house files, IT Never Gets Old asked earlier, will you be moved into the new house before the end of the year? Let me drop in the links for the house files channel, which is where you can find out the details. The house files is the channel I talk about. Lily and I talk about this whole process of building this 3-unit building, which is so close to being done now. It feels like it's within reach. It's like, it is like the painter's just cleaned up. The sprinkler guy needs to come back and put in the caps for the sprinkler heads. And we need a cleaner to come through and clean out all the sawdust from all the cabinets. And then I think we're going to move in. And to our unit, not the rest are still need some work, but we need to get some of our stuff out of the other units so they can finish that too. It's turned into a lot of storage. So we filmed on Thursday morning. We filmed an update, and so the latest video on the channel is a bonus episode that we actually filmed back in July before Lily's birthday. But we filmed a real update on Thursday, which I finished editing last night. It's a big update. It's going to come out hopefully today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. And we are going to, at the end of that is a guess the date we're going to move in call to action. So drop it in the comments of that video when it comes out tomorrow. And the winner will get a House Files coaster, laser cut coaster. Close without going over. But man, we're right on the edge now. I can just feel it. We are so close. So I actually need to make waffles this week because we ran out of the 6-week batch. No, it's been 10 weeks. I did a big batch. September 15th was the last batch I cooked. So that's like, yeah, 2.5 months. Anyway, ran out of that batch today. And I need to make another batch of waffles. And I think I might cook them in the new kitchen. And whether or not we're moved in, I'm going to cook them in the new kitchen, which will be fun. So anyway. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. It's been almost 90 minutes. Giovanni says, do you think Blackmagic is at war with Rode? Probably. Yeah, probably. They're definitely like, I mean, they do go after different markets, right? Like Rode knows that they're going after the more home studio market, and more home studio market versus like larger things. And Blackmagic broke into that lower end market with the ATEM Mini. But there's definitely some crossover in the middle there for sure. And I think Resolve is the real Blackmagic product. Live stuff is just Grant having fun. That very well could be. Very well could be. Bought a new OSEE Gostream Duet 8. Unfortunately, can't assign inputs 5 to 8 in Companion. Oh, I'm guessing the Companion module hasn't been updated to support the additional 4 channels. I don't know when. I'm assuming they're going to update it, but I don't know when they're going to do that. Blackmagic has such a huge TV studio market. Rode is like an attacking mosquito. I don't think Rode is going into the TV studio market. That's the thing. It's that, but I think Rode is doing a very good job of breaking into the home studio market. Podcasting, small podcast sets, webinars. Like I was really excited by the ATEM Mini because it was the first time that the capabilities that you get in large TV studios were brought to the home studio market. But man, Rode is doing a very good job of that right now. Neil says, update your Companion. I think they have a new module out. Oh, did they already do it? Yeah, that's the first thing to check always with Companion is see if they've got a new module. And the new Companion can actually live update modules now separately from the Companion itself. So we should be able to, for example, look for Gostream and do I already have it installed over here? Really? There it is. Gostream. Turn it on. Oh, it's missing. Okay. So we do need to install it. And they only have one available. Okay, that's fine. Some of them will let you install older versions. So let's see. I think mine is not. No, it is on. If I can find the IP address. What is the IP address of mine? 42.249. Okay, there it is. And now if we go look at a button and what do they call it? For settings, there we go. Settings, aux, outsource, HDMI, no, aux, source. Oh yeah. It looks like it needs updating for the other inputs. That makes sense because it was a firmware update recently that even allows it to support 8 at the same time. So I guess they just need to do an update. Gwen says, I feel like Blackmagic have mostly given up on the lower end switcher market. It does kind of feel like it. My big problem with Rode is that I'm not a NASCAR driver. I don't want their stupid logo on my mic. What is clicking? Huh. Something is clicking back there. I like this. Gwen says, if you were a NASCAR driver, I feel like your mic windscreen would have way more than just a Rode logo. Yeah. Okay, great. We're going to wrap this up now. Thanks for joining. This was fun. I'm going to try to get an ATEM G2 to test. I'm going to ask the Blackmagic folks to let me borrow one for a month or so. Because because they're starting to ship now. So now it's real. Okay, this was fun. Hopefully you all had fun learning about my adventures at the yard sale and old Palm Pilots. Fun trip down memory lane. Yeah, what kind of gear are you gonna hold on to for 20 years to see whether you're nostalgic about it later? Drop that in the comments after this is posted. Anyway, thanks for joining today. Thanks to the extreme supporters Larry, Andre, Kevin, and Marcin. And at this point, I need to call In Plain Sight for continually gifting channel memberships to people every week. So thanks for that. And if you are a channel member, make sure you join the members Discord. You can find the link down below, and in the YouTube channel and members area, and then you can join the Discord where we talk throughout the week, and you can see more pictures of my old Palm Pilots and stuff as I continue to work on them. Anyway, this was fun. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Happy end of November. Gosh. I guess that means that pumpkin season's officially over, so maybe it's time to get rid of my little pumpkins in the back and switch over to, I don't know, snow globes? Yeah. Anyway, let me know what gear you're gonna hold on to down in the comments when this is done, and we'll come back next week and chat again about who knows what. Thanks, and I'm gonna go work on building my shelves to clean up that giant mess, so that'll be fun, and probably go get waffle ingredients. All right, see you all next week.